This is Defenders 41. This was one of the last issues I needed to complete my collection. I had put off buying this one because for some reason I got it in my mind that it was a fill-in issue, but it's not. And instead this is the rather bittersweet ending to Stephen Gerber's run on the Defenders. The general consensus is that the story in this issue, it was originally intended to be Defenders Annual 1, and the contents of Defenders Annual 1, they were meant to run over the course of several issues of the regular series. The result is both these stories are dramatically cut short and slightly unsatisfying, and that is because Stephen Gerber's, he was removed from the book due to an unethical editor-in-chief who wanted to write this book and several others himself. And what's sad is that if Stephen Gerber's had been given a grace period to actually close off his stories or whatever, this one, it probably could have been a fitting ending to his run. There is a degree of finality to it, and it resolves one of his major character arcs. What's happening is Doctor Strange and Batman, they have gone to visit a smelly hippie commune. They have received word that Batman's ex was there and she has gone missing. This is her, she is called Lurleen, and she has got one arm missing because it got exploded in another Defenders story. But she came to this group of smelly hippies and she started getting into spirituality in hopes that it would make up for her lost limb. Look, she's using tarot cards. You know what that means about this comic, didn't you? Then one day she suddenly manifested a psychedelic effect, and then later on she walked off into the desert by herself and she wasn't heard from again. A big component of this issue is Batman and his attitude. He is very bitter and cynical about Lurleen and the smelly hippies. And this is all part of the journey that Stephen Gerber's charted for this character. This is meant to, or it was intended to, if it was allowed to run its full length rather than being condensed down into a single issue. This was clearly meant to be the conclusion to all of the Batman character work that Stephen Gerber's had done. This was meant to be him finding peace. We didn't really get that though. Instead, we get what would have been the superhero plot that Batman's character piece would have been draped around. There is an evil sorceress from an art issue of Doctor Strange, and she has kidnapped Lurleen. So Doctor Strange, he goes to investigate, and he goes to another dimension, and he bumps into some evil demons, and he fights the evil demons, and then he frees Lurleen. But that was the plan of the evil sorceress all along. Because in freeing Lurleen, well, Doctor Strange, he has also freed her. So now Batman and Doctor Strange, they have to fight against the sorceress and her army. And it's quickly over, and she takes over the collective of smelly hippies. And this is all happening really fast because it's got to fit into a single issue. We don't really get any real hook for the evil sorceress. We don't get her motivations or the extent of her powers. And that is obviously the result of the unfortunate sudden end to this run. Doctor Strange, Batman and Lurleen, they are all trapped inside a cube, like in that film Cube. And also like on the cover, except Lurleen isn't there. Now the rest of the Defenders, Doctor Strange summons them to help out. We have got the Hulk, we've got Velcro, aka Comic Girl Ava, Russia Girl, Rachel McAdams, and Velcro's ex-husband, Comic Guy John. I don't know where Luke Cage's is, maybe he was just cut for time. And this next bit coming up is good, I guess. They're going to execute Lurleen. They're going to chop off her head, and then Hulk jumps in and saves her. Then we have got all the defenders together, ready to fight. Rachel McAdams, she is able to free Doctor Strange and Batman. And then Spider-Man and a very off-model version of one of his minor villains. They are having some Twinkies. I don't know why Stephen Goebbels added this when he was obviously pressed for page time. Then we even have a little sequence of Russia Girl, which is of note since she very rarely got these. She joined near the end of Stephen Goebbels' run, and then the next writer, the unethical editor-in-chief Gary Conman, creator of The Punisher, he wrote her out straight away. So she never really got enough spotlight as a member of the team. But then it's over very quickly. Very, very quickly. As quickly as it began. Doctor Strange, he just waves his hands and it is over. The only thing you can take from this is we have a bit of unseen stuff where Batman and Lurleen, they are seen leaving together, talking, and we can assume whatever we want here. We can say this resolves their relationship, or you can tell yourself that it does. Lurleen, she never appears again in Defenders, and you could get some sense of closure to the run from this. It's just a shame that what should have been the art of this story, their reunion, it's pushed to the background in favour of an underdeveloped story about a sorceress that nobody remembers. This is a textbook example of a comic you were better off not reading and just imagining your own version of based on the synopsis. For a story that was rushed and not really how the writer intended to tell it, this is a lot more coherent than it should be, but what it doesn't feel is complete or satisfying. At least the Defenders book, it comes back from losing Stephen Goebbels and even Gary Conman, creator of The Punisher. His brief run isn't that bad either. Oh, actually, something interesting I missed. This guy here, the Smelly Hippie, who runs the Smelly Hippie group, he is named after Stephen Goebbels' friend, Anthony Davis, who will coincidentally go on to write a book after Gary Conman's unethical 2-issue run. This was a sad issue though, not in content, just in existence. Definitely could have been better, so I rate this 7 thumbs up.